Hey everybody, Dan here with the Wealth Instinct. I wanted to share with you my article, Say Yes to What You Really Want and No to Almost Everything Else. If you could do me a favor and subscribe to the channel and click the bell icon so you get notifications of new videos. So this is really, I think, one of the most important aspects of getting what you want, and and it seems counterintuitive, right? Like that you have to say no, get better at saying no, but I think it's really critical. And and you've got to find, you've got to decide between saying yes and no, right? So I share the story in here about the movie Yes Man, and I really like this movie because he was kind of shut down, but by learning to say yes, he was able to have more opportunities and be able to experience more of life. But then obviously he saw the downside, right? And it's kind of everything spun out of control because he never said no to anything. And it's really critical to be able to say no, to set boundaries, right? Um, you have to say yes to certain things, but you don't have to say yes to everything. You've got to say yes to what you really, really want, and learn to say no to things that don't really align with who you are and what you're trying to do. And um, and this is something that I used to struggle with quite a bit. Like saying no was so hard for me. Um, and it took me a long time to really get more comfortable with who I was, so that I could say no. And obviously fear is a big factor. Fear can sometimes stop you from saying yes or saying no. But often fear might be stopping you from what you want most. And I think sometimes that's, it's self-doubt. Like there's a reason that you're not saying yes to what you want, right? And there's a reason that it keeps coming up, right? Like when you really want something and it keeps coming up and you keep saying no, 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 no. Um, it keeps coming up because it's something that you want on a deep level and something you need to explore, and often that fear is what's holding you back, and you've got to really dig into that and understand, what am I really afraid of and what's stopping me, right? And then once you're able to deal with that and get to the point where you are able to embrace what you really want, you've got to learn to say no and to everything else. And this is so critical, and there's so many good examples of this. um, I think, Apple is a good example. Like they don't make 100 products, right? Like they could easily make more products, but they decide to focus on making a few products really well, and not making others. And look at the success they've had. Other businesses like Samsung make a ton of products and they're successful too, but you know, there's a big difference between Samsung and Apple. I think, Apple has that power of focus. Um, and in your life, you only have so much energy, so much time, um, so much energy, right? And so if you try to do too much, you end up doing everything badly, and then that affects how you view yourself, right? Like if you focus on doing one thing and doing better than anyone, all that stuff that you don't do and you don't, it's not important to you and it doesn't affect your self value. But that one thing you do better than anybody else, I always think of Michael Phelps, right? Like when Michael Phelps was training for the Olympics, he wasn't thinking about doing his taxes and his laundry, right? Like he had other people helping him, and so he was able to focus on on what he was good at and doing what he did best, and that's what allowed him to be successful. And that's true for everyone, I think, to some degree. But it comes down to learning to say no, and you've really got to know yourself, right? Like you've got to know what's important to you and what you value, and and being able to say no is really, um, it's really, you really have to know yourself to be able to say no to things, to say, and to be strong. And that's why I think with, with kids when they're growing up, it's teaching them about having the confidence to say no, um, is so critical. And as you get older, you tend to get better at this, but not necessarily, right? Um, and sometimes things scare you because you're excited by the opportunity, but you have fear of moving forward. And this is to me where I always think about living courageously, because I have another article about following your heart versus your head, and um, your your heart to me is your true guide. Your head tries, it's kind of how you interpret things, but your heart is really your true guide, and it's going to guide you in the direction that you most want. But that's when all the fears come up, the fears of failure, of self-doubt, of rejection. All these fears come up, and learning to in order to say yes, you have to be able to live courageously and follow your heart. Um, and then to stick to that path is where learning how to say no um, is so critical, because it's so easy to get distracted. Like, it's so easy, um, when you're starting to get some momentum on your business and your friends are like, let's go on this ski trip, and it's like, oh, I really want to go on this ski trip. And maybe you should go on that ski trip, but there's certain things you're going to have to say no to, some things, in order to get what you really, really want, right? Like, if they're going to happy hour every day, it's like, well, I need to focus on my business. I need to focus on writing this book. I need to focus on producing something. I need to focus on learning something, and um, you see it all the time with people who achieve something. There's a sacrifice, right? Like, and while they're having to sacrifice, it's kind of sucks, right? Like it kind of sucks having to give up a lot and say no to things. But ultimately, there's a payoff, and the payoff comes from that focus and following that course, and saying yes. And the thing is, you're saying yes to what you really, really want. Like, that's the whole point, right? Like, it's not like you're saying yes to something that's mediocre or okay or not that fulfilling. You're saying yes to what you want more than anything in life, right? And once you get that kind of focus, it's easy to say no to things that are just distractions, that are just, not getting you what you want. So, so this takes a lot of work, and I think it takes a lot of exploring. You've got to really look around the world and see, what is it that speaks to you? What is it that calls to you? And you've got to start to distinguish between interest and passion, right? There's a lot of things that interest me. There's a lot of things that I want to learn, but there's only a few things that I'm passionate about. And if you focus on following your interests and not your passions because you're afraid of your passion, you're going to get mediocre results. You've got to filter through your interests to things that you're truly passionate about, and focus on those, and that's the only way to really, really get results. Um, so thanks for watching. I really suggest that you click on this link at the bottom and check out this training. Um, it's through Jeff Lerner and the Entre Nation, and it's really about, I guess, the core of it is online business and how to make money online, but it's a much deeper training about just having an awesome life, and becoming your best self in terms of your physical self, in terms of your relationships, but also professionally. Um, and it's something that it's helped me to focus more and say yes more to what I want, and to filter out things that I don't want. Because what I've noticed is that as I'm pursuing what I really want, there's certain things in my life that are holding me back that I need to learn how to cut out. So, you know what? That's not serving me. I got to say no to that. That's not serving me. I got to say no to that. But the payoff is worth it, because it's going to help me to get what I really, really want. So click out the link. Let me know what you think, and love to hear from you, and we'll talk soon.